India. Over the next 2 days, we will explore how reading ecosystems, school pedagogy, digital innovations, and partnerships can shape generations to come. Before we dive deeper into our sessions, it is my privilege in the august presence of Director NBT, Shri Raj Shekhar, to acknowledge and honor the distinguished dignitaries who have joined us today, leaders, visionaries, and change makers who have dedicated their efforts to building a reading nation. Thank you, ma'am. May I now invite our guest of honor, Shri Raj Shekhar Joshi, Vice Chairman, Setu Ayog, Government of Uttarakhand, an IIT Computer Science graduate. He brings over 3 decades of rich experience in public policy, business and technology, leadership across India and abroad. He writes and speaks on social, governance, and economic subjects in renowned publications. Sir, we request you to kindly deliver your address.
Shri Sanjay Kumar ji, Shri Malik ji, Srimati Avasthi ji, and other colleagues on the dais, and distinguished guests on the front row, as well as the very diverse audience I can see, ranges from young people, young to old, and very bright faces in the cold Delhi morning. So it's indeed very auspicious for the beginning of this dialogue. Thank you, NBT, for inviting me to be the guest of honor out here. And it was indeed a matter of great personal happiness for me to be part of this event, as I've been also coming in World Book Fair earlier, and also part of one of the largest publishing companies, Macmillan, long back, has been some sort of association with the book fair. The topic, reading, Samvad 2026, Reading India Samvad 2026. As I said, it evokes a lot of personal memories in me. In my long journey from town Nainital to Roorkee, IIT, and then the corporate world all over India and abroad, public policy, Government of India, and now from being president in one of the largest corporate groups to running the planning commission for the state of Uttarakhand. When I go back to my childhood, I think reading shaped me immensely because my father was professor and I had access to the university library. And I could read, I did read, books like even Mayor of Casterbridge, Anna Karenina, to Mahabharat, almost all the Parvas I read, all the 18 ones, by the time I was 10. And the kind of immense, I would say, of course, you don't understand many things at that age. You come to know later on. I must say that the way it shaped me is something which is a great foundation which is there. And today also I do that, despite all the multi-city schedules and so on. I always spent 2 to 3 hours every evening studying, reading, and whether it could be notes, whether it could be books, articles, and so on and so forth. And as Ms. Avasthi told me that we must inculcate the reading, I think one of the biggest joys for me recently was when my son, who is doing film studies, he said he doesn't read books much, but he said, I want to read books. And I can understand a boy in Bandra West, because that's where my another home is, wanting to read a book and completing it. It was a great joy for me. So personally, so it's been a journey very much shaped by reading. And as Mr. Malik also said just before me, as that and some takeaway that the drashti and drishtikon and vyakti and vyaktitva, I think it's so important, especially in today's world. Even the book I am reading right now, it's a very interesting book. It's a book on the leadership legacy of the Prime Minister, written by a good friend of mine, R. Balasubramaniam. And I'm And I must tell you that the book is not just about because he's a sitting prime minister and so all the nice things you talk in here. It's about the philosophy. It's about what, the underpinnings and so on and so forth. And the kind of joy of learning it has given me, which is there. So personally reflecting, nothing, as I said, is more satisfying than that. And reading is more important today than ever because of two things. One is, of course, the distractions we have immensely, the digital distractions, you would say that, because all of us have spent considerable time on mobile phones and so on and so forth. And the second is the inequities in society, where a lot of young children across, it's not just Delhi and Bombay and even in these cities, but across in smaller cities, villages. I spend a lot of time in our villages in Uttarakhand, where people do not have, and we all know that, the statistics that the class 5 children cannot comprehend for class 3 and so on and so forth, it's all well known, which is there. And there are so many initiatives the government of India is doing, Nipun Bharat and so, which is there. But having said it, it's so important. There is no way we can become a Vishwaguru if we continue to have such kind of an educational, profile for our generations to come. So this is not just a issue of reading, statistics, literacy, surface level literacy statistics and so on. It's an issue of a nation's direction. It's an issue of a nation's strength. It's an issue of our civilization. It's an issue of India's progress. So it's such as fundamental as matter as it can be. So I think, and where reading is so important. And we all know that, of course, there are statistics that if you inculcate reading in the early age, then the academic standards are better, and it continues throughout your life. So that's also there. And how do you inculcate reading? Of course, you have to address the foundational issues which are there in the children. And also as far as the elders go, the libraries, I think e-library as she stated, libraries are so important. I still remember when I was a child, we had the municipal library in Nainital, and I used to spend good amount of time there. So, but they have to be, some people are very dogmatic still. I hear about that. They want libraries which are just libraries, books, and nothing else they out there. But I think we have to be not dogmatic, but we have to be pragmatic with times. And the libraries, what we all talk today, have also be not just, sort of a silent room to a living ecosystem. So 3 thoughts which I have very, very clearly in my mind, which I like to share. One is the libraries have to evolve from a silent room to a living ecosystem. You have to have community, you have to have involved families, you have to have technology also out there. So that unless and until we do that, in any profession and any vocation, if we don't have technology, the fact is that it's very difficult for it to sustain in a significant way. And people will not take a sense of pride, people will not take a sense of accomplishment if we are not in tune with technology. So this notion that you only have to just flip the paper all the time and that's reading, I think it can be for some people, a good number of people maybe, and a good thing to do at the same time. But I don't think that's good enough to move the needle. The libraries have to move with times, so that's very important. The second is the technology, which is a distraction today in many, many ways. But actually technology is the greatest enabler and the greatest driver of society and economy today. So you cannot ignore it. So you have to design it, as they say, rather than having it outside the tent and just thinking it is a distraction, you have to bring it within it. So how can you use technology? Of course, it can be used in many ways, as you say, combination of digital and physical, what you call phygital, as well as ability to read in book and in the digital form, ability to analyze for children what are the learning patterns and so on and so forth, and use that. Technology is a great, is definitely, the way it can personalize education, the way it can be, it's no longer like fit for all, but you can actually analyze the trends for each student and so forth, and craft the lesson plans, and as they all say that, which is there. So you can use it in terms of not just the distraction, but a design, the part of the learning. And the third thing is that combining the reading and the technology, reading design to reading pathways, that how each student, I think that's where I'm certain that many interventions are on, that how do we look at the reading pathways, what kind of books students are willing to read, and what kind of books are they willing to refer, they are referring, what are they reading digitally, what are they, and let's face it, the modern generation, I straddle, as I said, from Uttarakhand to Bombay and to Delhi and all over. Technology has to be there. You cannot, this generation is an iPhone generation, the Gen Z or whatever, comes forward. So it's an integral part of life. So you have to, it has to be the part of it. It's called learning bites, learning chunks, bite-based learning, and so on and so forth. All that is to be part of, reading pathways, which is there. So three things are extremely important as I go forward, as I say, going forward. One is the libraries have to evolve from a silent room to an ecosystem, a living ecosystem, which is there. The second is as technology has to be effectively used. And the third, and wherever it is, and I can tell you it's used. There's one small example I'll give you. I spent good time in Dehradun, which is the capital, but I spent good time in districts. And in my home district in Devidhura in Champawat district, I actually, there is a school in the name of my mother, and I got it rebuilt, and it is like 6,500 feet above the sea level. And very, very, can say, I won't say backward, but yes, many things had to happen there. And I introduced a smart classroom there in that Shishu Mandir, which is it. And the children have taken so much, naturally to it. So they're reading the book, but they are accessing the internet through the smart classroom. And I feel so much joy when I go there and see that, when they are not just reading the books, which are there, of course, as part of the syllabus, but they're accessing the learning resources. So this is something which I have lived for years in front of my eyes, which is there. So this is a great multiplier. Absolutely, technology is a great multiplier, but it has to be part of design and, of course, done correctly, like anything else which is there. So as I said, library, and the second was technology from distraction to design. And the third is, as I said, that we have to personalize, so it's reading pathways for each children. So those kind of models have to be built up. But reading has a great future. I can tell you that, like everything we say, in the 90s used to say children are this, that. But I see so many young teenagers in Bombay itself, who are so spiritual, who want to read books. So there is a great future for reading, I can tell you that. But yes, it has to be designed well, it has to be part of the life, it has to have technology, it has to move ahead with the times, which is there. So having said it, thank you so much again for inviting me, and I must say that I'm so encouraged to see all of you out here, and I'm sure reading has a great future. It will continue to have a great future, despite a lot of saying said that print is dead and is going to be dead. I don't think that's going to happen. Thank you so much.